Now, today is 8/31/2015. We are on UC Denver's campus. We are here with a young man here to talk about the Confederate flag. What would you like to say, sir?
Of course, the Confederate flag needs to be taken down. I mean, in my opinion, it still stands for racism. These were the people fighting against the unions. The unions wanted to stop slavery. The Confederates wanted slavery. It's just that simple. The Confederate flag stands for people that wanted slavery. Why would you put the Confederate flag again? Going over that, I mean, you have the Nazis, for example. What were the Nazis for? They hated Jews, they were anti-Semites, they hated colored people, they hated homosexuals. If you raise up the swastika sign, what does it mean? It only means one thing. You need it to be back. That's the thing about the Confederate flag, in my opinion.
All right, let me switch up the game on you. Is the Confederate flag a test of our freedom of speech? Because in Nazi Germany, you cannot do a Sieg Heil or you cannot hang up the Nazi flag. But in America, we can still hang up the Confederate flag. Your opinions?
Well, I mean, you're talking about freedom of speech, correct? Basic freedom of speech. I'm going to play a little philosophical game because I don't believe that freedom of speech is 100% true. I mean, for example, could I go today and say, go kill that person over there? What's going to happen? Wait a minute. If I threaten you, if I say I'm going to kill you, what's going to happen?
That would be considered a threat.
And what would happen from it?
I don't know.
I would go to jail.
Yeah.
Or at least I would be going to trial.
Depending on your skin color.
Well, you know what I mean? But saying in general, what is it supposed to be? It's supposed to be a threat, and I could go to jail for it. But it's freedom of speech. I just said that.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't do it, but it's freedom of speech. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay.
That's what I'm saying.
Would you be a slave right now if the Confederate won?
If the Confederate won, of course I would have been a slave right now.
Would you be here on U.S. soil if the Confederate won?
Well, my parents are immigrants.
Okay.
My parents are immigrants.
Yes.
So that's why. But if I was one of these African Americans, one of these Africans that were brought here as slaves, I would have still been a slave today. That's what the Confederates stood for.
Okay. Okay, do you have any opinions about what's going on in Baltimore, Ferguson, NYC, St. Louis, Los Angeles?
I mean, the Ferguson story specifically, I have a lot of stuff about the Ferguson thing because for some reason, some of the people a lot of people that stood on the side of the policeman tried to take away the fact that law still exists and law needs to be respected to the full amount and to the full extent. So, for example, you were talking about Michael Brown. Well, yeah, he was a criminal. I mean, he went in and robbed a store. Yeah, he was a criminal.
Okay.
But a criminal needs to get arrested.
Peacefully.
Especially if he didn't do any threat to you.
At the very least, alive.
The police officer said that he was getting beaten up. Why did you make him get to the point where he beats you up? I mean, in a freaking movie, when you watch a movie, the police needs to stand a long way from him. And which was already happened, I believe. He should have told him, freeze where you are. He didn't freeze. He kept moving. Electrify him.
Tasers.
As the most thing, you have a gun, shoot him in the leg.
Yeah.
Don't tell me if you bring in, because a lot of people were saying, no, he was in the size of a gorilla.
Okay.
That's why. Well, let's say even if he was in the size of a gorilla, you shoot a gorilla in the leg.
Okay, so
be able to move.
People are arguing that it's very hard to aim with small arms like a pistol. It's also very hard to aim when there's an adrenaline rush. What would you say to that?
But why did he go to the police academy in the first place?
Oh, exactly.
Why did he go into the police academy in the first place? Let's say even it was hard for him to aim and everything. Why did you shoot him 6 times in the freaking legs? You shot him 6 shots. It was 6 times. You know what I mean?
Do you think that's so the officer doesn't have anybody to testify against him?
I mean, I don't know what it brought down into, but
he's dead.
There's a lot of he's dead. Exactly, the kid is dead.
Yeah.
James, what's his name? Michael Brown is dead. You know what I mean? I don't know if it was because there was nobody to testify against him. I don't know if it was a problem with the legal system. I don't know what was going on. But at the end of the day, you have injustice that happened.
Okay. So, do you think it's kind of sketchy that, let's say, a police officer kills a man and the police department investigates the police officer? Isn't that kind of conflict of interest?
You don't know about that. I mean, because in the end of the day, you're looking at the general thing. The general thing is that police officers are people that help you, and they're good people. That's in the end of the day. I mean, what's going to happen if somebody breaks into my house? Who am I going to call? I'm going to call a police officer to come to help me out. So I don't find it.
I agree.
I don't find it wrong as they investigated it. However, I'm not also going to say that my solution is one of the good solutions, but I think the prosecutor should be chosen by the victim's family, because, I mean, in that specific case, the person who went, the prosecutor, I mean,
yes,
his father was killed by African Americans. The prosecutor, his father was killed by African Americans.
The prosecutor didn't put forth their best effort.
I don't think so. I mean, in this case, generally, if you look at it, the police officer should have been punished.
All right,
for what he did.
Let's talk about Trayvon Martin. Trayvon Martin, George Zimmerman.
That's a lot.
The jury. Was the jury rigged? All-white jury or pretty much all-white jury? Was it rigged? Do you think?
I don't know, but this one was 100% racism, and there was no other way because of that. I mean, Michael Brown, you were talking about a police officer. So in the end of the day, yeah, we have some stuff. That was a police officer who tried to stop the guy or whatever. That was in the end of the day. He had the authority to stop him. What authority did George Zimmerman have to do with this guy?
All right.
What did George Zimmerman have to do? I mean...
1 second, sir.
I mean,
all right, keep on talking. I'm listening.
No, you're good. One of the things was in George Zimmerman case, George Zimmerman actually, when he called the police, when he called 911, they told him, don't follow him. They gave him strict orders to not follow him.
And
why did he follow him?
I think he was hunting. I think he was hunting for the sport.
That's what I'm saying. Why did you follow him? You know what I mean?
When you have time, please read this.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So that's an interesting article. It details why we're getting killed besides racism. So it's an interesting concept. So let's say you or I have been shot by George Zimmerman, and you're a ghost watching over the trial, and you see white prosecutor, white judge, white lawyer, white jurors. Do you think that is a jury of your peers?
Honestly, I don't see. The thing about me is I don't like to bring it into a race issue. In the end of the day, I mean, for example, what's the color? What's her name? Nancy, the one that comes in that one channel. Nancy. Oh my God, I keep forgetting her name.
Nancy Pelosi?
No, not Nancy Pelosi. That was the Speaker of the White House.
Oh, yeah.
The one that comes in ABC. She was a huge one that talked about the Michael Brown case. Well, at the end of the day, she was a white woman who stood up against... Actually, the funny thing was they brought an African American who stood up in the side of the police officer, and he had Nancy, who was a white woman, standing against the police officer. So in the end of the day, it's not anything about color, you know what I mean?
Interesting, okay.
I mean, the people... I'm not saying that there is racism based on color, but it's not a whole... I mean, you can't generalize.
It's definitely not
you can't generalize, exactly, you know what I mean? I mean...
I understand.
If there was a white racist person against African Americans, it by no means means that all white people are against African Americans. There was a white lady in the civil rights movement who was assassinated, her and her fiance, by the KKK. She was white, pure white.
Oh yeah.
And her fiance was pure white.
I mean, if you look at the civil rights photos, you see black and white.
Exactly.
It's a black and white
a lot
photo.
Of them.
So, yeah, so you see the two. Yeah.
A lot of protesters with the civil rights movement were white people, so it has nothing to do with racism, you know what I mean? It has nothing to do with the general... I mean, I've been part of that because, like, the thing is, I'm a Muslim.
Okay.
A lot of people generalize all Muslims as terrorists.
Okay.
So that's something I don't want to generalize as well. I've been through this, you know what I mean? When I was in high school, people called me terrorist just because I was a Muslim, you know what I mean? So I'm not going to be doing the same hypocrisy by calling all white people racist.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, basically?
Because that stereotype.
That's stereotype,
I've experienced it. You've experienced it.
For sure.
Why would I want to generalize like that?
There you go.
Yeah. Okay, do you have to get to class, sir?
No, I don't. You need to ask another question or something, or?
Let's talk about the Charleston church shooting. What do you think about that?
Charleston church. Well, that was basically...
Was it a hate crime? Or
it was a hate crime, of course.
Or did the media portray it as something else?
It was a hate crime. I don't know, how did the media portray it? Because I wasn't out at that time. I was overseas. I was in Egypt, so I wasn't able to watch a lot of.
Oh,
read the thing
Egypt.
on Facebook. Yeah.
My, you're in a hot spot.
Yeah.
Wow. What's that? Is the Muslim Brotherhood still in control over there?
Oh no, they
lost power.
They were took by coup.
Yeah. And
saying coup not necessarily means that It's a bad thing, but when you take somebody from power by a military army, that's a coup. Whether it's a good thing or a horrible thing, it's a coup.
Okay.
Yeah, but I mean, not necessarily saying the Muslim Brotherhood are good people, because they do have a lot of mistakes and they do have a lot of problems. But by no means is Sisi, the current person who's controlling Egypt, a good person. I mean, everything the people were afraid of the Muslim Brotherhood of doing, Sisi already did.
Yeah.
Already did.
Yeah.
A horrible economy, boom. Sisi has a horrible economy in Egypt right now. Killings and murders and blood, oh my God.
Yeah.
He's almost, oh my God, he's crazy. He's going on the role of Stalin. It's only 1 year. I mean, yeah, he barely finished his 1 year last June. And look at the number of dead people.
I heard about recently 3 journalists were jailed.
Arrested.
In Egypt.
Al Jazeera. The funny thing is that one of them was actually a supporter of Sisi.
Oh.
One of them was a supporter of Sisi, and he still got arrested.
Okay. Do you know how is the condition of Egypt's free speech? Is there free speech? No free speech?
As I told you, I don't believe in free speech because in the end of the day, freedom of speech doesn't exist at all.
Okay.
That's in my opinion. The only thing that matters is that there are countries that freedom of speech has a bigger extent than the other, but freedom of speech doesn't exist.
Okay.
Especially, I mean, in the U.S., the most country in the world that freedom of speech exists in is the U.S. It's not 100% full freedom of speech, but it's the most country in the world that has freedom of speech. And you could experience that from the, what's it called? That one shooting that happened in France.
The Swiss Charlie.
Charlie, the shooting in Charlie, for example. I mean, of course, I'm 100% against shooting somebody. Because that's freedom of speech in the end of the day. However, does France really go by the concept of freedom of speech? I mean, they let that same newspaper draw the cartoons of Muhammad. But this same newspaper, a couple of months before that, somebody drew some racist stuff about Jews. Actually, it wasn't even that racist. It was only Sarkozy's son converting to Judaism. And they viewed that as anti-Semitism. And they asked the guy to apologize, and when he didn't apologize, they fired him. And they issued the apology. And that was only Sarkozy's son converting to Judaism. If you bring Sarkozy's son converting to Islam, it's way less offensive than drawing our prophet, basically. And of course, the people that went and shot, they had no right to do that because Islam itself and the religion has said, if you hear the verses of God and His prophet being made fun of, just don't sit with them. By that means, just don't buy the newspaper. It never said go and shoot them. So they were 100% wrong. I'm not justifying what they did by any means because they disobeyed humanity and they disobeyed Islam when they went and shot. They were not allowed to go and shoot. But I'm just showing you the hypocrisy of France. That's what, see, for example, here in the U.S., freedom of speech, why do I say freedom of speech is to a huge extent? You can make fun of Jews, you can make fun of Muslims, you can make fun of whoever, you can criticize Israel out loud. Oh my God, I was criticizing Israel out loud here in the U.S. And my Facebook account, I was talking about Israel. I was like, I'm 100% against Israel, and I was speaking that in my Facebook account. No police showed up to my house. Oh my God, if you were in Britain or France, oh my God, that would have been a different story. Anti-Semitism suit slapped on you right away. So that's why the U.S. in the end of the day has a huge more extent of freedom of speech than any other country.
Okay. Let me see. Let me think. Okay.
What is this basically about? What is the...
So, do you think it's a bad idea for the United States to keep on creating these black ops sites where we group civilians and extremists together, like Guantanamo Bay or Arab? I don't remember.
The thing about Guantanamo Bay is that I could tell that there were a lot of people over there. I mean, for example, there was an Al Jazeera journalist, Sami Al-Hajj, who happens to be from Sudan, where I'm originally from. He was arrested in Guantanamo for a long time, and then he was released. I don't even think there was any charges against him. They just arrested him over there and kept him there for a while. And he was released after 7 years.
7 years.
Well, being released, that means you didn't commit any crime.
Was he ever indicted, given a right to a fair trial?
I don't think so. I don't even think he went to trial. That's the thing.
Isn't that kind of sketchy?
It is.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not. I don't know if it's the government. I don't know. I seriously don't know what happened. But I mean, I'm a strong criticizer of Bush's administration.
Yeah, for sure.
And I mean, I don't like the Republican Party for sure, but yeah. So I think it was something that got back to something that Bush gave orders to. I don't know how the legal system works if Bush, but Bush definitely is a fundamentalist. I mean, he did say that when he went on before the war in Iraq. He said, when September 11 happened and that he wanted to go to Afghanistan. He said it's a Crusader war.
Yeah, I remember that.
Well, you can apologize all you want, but you're a fundamentalist.
Yeah.
If a Muslim goes out and say it's an Islamic conquer, it's a fundamentalist.
Okay, what do you think about Donald Trump talking about going into the Middle East and taking all the wealth? Does that sound?
Did he really say that? I wasn't keeping up with him. I mean, I usually listen to laugh.
So Donald Trump says that he wants to go into the Middle East and take ISIS's wealth. He wants to take their money. He wants to bomb the hell out of them. Does that sound similar to George Bush's rhetoric?
I mean, bombing the hell out of ISIS is a good thing. I mean, I hate ISIS. They actually damaged... This was actually part of the Republican Party's fault. ISIS is here in the first place because the Republicans wanted to bring down Bashar al-Assad, and they brought down Saddam Hussein, who would have kept ISIS down in the ground. They wouldn't have let ISIS grow. But destabilizing Iraq and Syria, you're gonna leave. That's how these cockroaches are gonna grow. You know what I mean? That's how a cockroach grows. If you're gonna destabilize two governments, that's what's gonna happen in the end. If you didn't destabilize Saddam Hussein's government, I'm not saying Saddam Hussein was a good person. He was a criminal by all means. I mean, the guy used to go into parliaments and list off the people that he was going to kill just as his breakfast. That was just fun for him. So Saddam Hussein was a horrible person. But when you bring down Saddam Hussein, you got to know what's going to happen. You have to draw for the future. You can't destabilize Saddam Hussein. And then you have ISIS. You know what I mean?
Okay, so you're next to a man from Israel. You're next to a man from Afghanistan. You're next to a man from Syria. And a white FBI officer is treating you all the same. Discrimination against all of you equally. Would you say you are still enemies? Or are you...
Enemies with who?
With people from various regions.
I mean, Zionism in general, I'm 100% against Zionism, and a lot of people mix Zionism with Judaism, which is a card you could pull off at any time. I mean, just the same thing. African Americans, we have a card that we pull out the same time. Some of African Americans pull out that card sometimes. When somebody steals, and then it goes, Joe, I went to jail because I'm black. He pulls off the race card. No, you went to jail because you stole. So that's the same thing about Zionism. They always bring out the Jewish card. No, there's a lot of Jews that are actually against that are against Zionism. A lot of Jews that are against Zionism. So by no means does that mean I'm against Jews. I have a lot of Jewish friends.
Okay. Let's talk about what you want to talk about. You ask me some questions. And if I don't know, then I don't know.
Let's see. What kind of questions?
I don't know.
Let's see. Man, let me think of something.
It's all good. Take your time.
All right. It's going to take a lot of time.
I mean, I know what I know. If I don't know it, I'll just say I don't know.
I don't have any. You know what I mean? I'm sorry, man. I don't have any, but...
It's all good.
No, I don't have any.
All right. Well, thank you, sir, for your time. I will be around. Please read that article. So that was a pretty good, long, extended chat with a young man. I wish I got more sleep. I wish I refreshed my memory about the recent events happening in the East Coast. So that's probably why the interview was all over the place. So I will probably have the same discussion topics again tomorrow, but I will be much more prepared, hopefully. Well, not hopefully, I will be. So thank you for listening, and no, I won't leave anything in the YouTube description to try to clarify anything. It's either it's clear or it's not, or I'll ask it again in a later interview. So I apologize if I was, unclear or seemed a little bit off. It happens. It's gonna happen. That's how life goes. Well, once again, thank you for listening, and we will be back on tomorrow. Bye-bye, America and citizens of the world.